So I'm about to try to take the spindle off. That means two ball joints have to be disconnected and freed up. So there is again a cotter pin in each one of them. This one is a little out of alignment, so it's having trouble coming out. Let's see if we can get the needle nose pliers wedged in there and pound it out. I'm going to turn the spindle and try to take the top one out now. And part of it just broke off. Might make it easier to get it out. That one almost looks like it was really too long to be used there. Just tap that again. Hard to get to. But it came out. We got to figure out which socket we need. Like a 7/8 there. Button got pushed halfway. So it's off, it's free. I want to make sure that I put it back on, and this is a safety thing because when I bang this out, I want it to catch the spindle and not allow the spindle to fall. Looks like that one's going to need a 3/4 deep. Which I have laying right here somewhere. But now it presents a problem because it will not fit the impact wrench. So we're going to have to do this the old-fashioned way and use a regular ratchet. And an extension on it. And when it comes loose, be careful not to fall on your keister. Okay, so as usual, take those all the way off so that you know you can get them off without spinning that ball joint. Now this is where this comes in handy. There's enough play in this that the weight of this will pull it down here whenever it breaks loose. I'm going to zoom in on that. This isn't going to go anywhere when this separates because I have the bolt on, the shock absorber's still in there, the jack's under the control arm. Okay, I think I was doing this wrong and telling you the wrong thing. So what I've done now is I've put jack stands under the frame of the further back, and I have taken the weight off of the jacks. They're not doing anything at this point. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the top one first, because I looked and this indeed is resting on the frame. The lower control or upper control arm I think is hitting the frame, so I wasn't getting any weight on that. And I won't until I free up the top one. Then I'll have the weight of the spindle on it to free the bottom one. I think I did that wrong, so we'll find out. And like I said, I show you the good, the bad, and the ugly, so that's not so ugly, but it's maybe bad. Now, the way this is, I've got the spring pulling down on this, so that's given me some help in freeing this one up. There. That worked. And without too much pounding on it. So what I'll do now is I'll go jack up the lower control arm so that I can have the weight of this spindle to push down on that when it pops free. Well, I may have made myself a little bit of a problem trying to focus on the darn thing. I took the nut off of this ball joint here, and the spindle dropped because there was enough force on that spring to let it drop. Now I don't have a solid hold on this. I'm going to try to beat it off with this. See what happens. Oh, there you go. Probably loosened it up from beating on it before. That was easier than I thought it would be. I'll put these nuts back on as usual. I do not believe that I am going to actually use these control arms. I think I'm going to buy aftermarket ones, tubular. But now the remaining thing to do here is to get the spring out. And that spring can still be under considerable force. So I want to make sure that I do that safely, because when I took this nut off, the nut flew. It didn't end up flying far. It landed on the bench here, but or the ramp. But I want to make sure that spring doesn't fly, because that could be very dangerous. Now, the 550-pound springs were in the 74, and surprisingly, they're shorter than the standard springs. So I'm wondering now, once I get these out, and I do have spring compressors, and I may end up using those. They're hard to use, but if I can get them in there, they might be worthwhile. In the meantime, I think I can take this upper A-frame off, because that is no longer attached to anything but the frame. And that will give me more room possibly if I need to use the spring compressor. So I am going to lower the lift a little bit to make it easier to get to the bolts that hold that on and take that off.